Good afternoon. Welcome to Outdoors with John. Today we are in the Appalachian Trail in Kent, Connecticut. We just left the parking lot at River Road. It's almost 3 o'clock. I'm about 3 hours behind schedule for my start. We have about 5 miles to hike to Mt Algo campsite, so we might be hiking in the dark. Today is November 20th, so it might take us more than a couple hours of daylight to get to Mt Algo campsite, so we may have to do some night hiking here.
Connecticut is one of 14 states that the Appalachian Trail passes through on a 2,100-mile route from Springer Mountain in Georgia to Mount Katahdin in Maine. There are 56.6 miles of the trail located in Connecticut. The trail is maintained by the Connecticut chapter of the Appalachian Mountain Club.
Although Mt Algo campsite is only 5 miles from the trailhead where we started, as you can see, we're going to have some serious climbing to do to get there.
As with all my videos, if you're interested in seeing a GPS track of today's hike, there is a link in the video description below.
We're 45 minutes into the hike and we haven't even hit a mile yet. About 8/10. The trail here goes straight up. We haven't reached the top yet. Down below there, we get a glimpse of the Housatonic River. This valley here is the Housatonic River Valley. And between us and the set of hills to the east is Kent, Connecticut. Well, I'm still winded, but thankfully we've reached the top of this ledge. We're not quite at the top of the hill, but it levels out here for a little while. Gives me a chance to catch my breath. We're cruising now. Well, I just finished lunch, 4 o'clock. Maybe closer to dinner, but I do have dinner for later tonight. At St. John's Ledges, great place to stop. St. John's Ledges is only a short hop, skip, and a jump. Just watch that last jump from the AT. Actual sunset tonight is at 4:28, about 20 minutes from now. I got my headlamp at the ready. I suspect I'll be able to probably hike till 5 o'clock before it gets dark. It's a lot of leaf litter on the trail, so it's a little bit harder to see where you're going. It's a little bit slick because the leaves are dry and they just slide out from underneath my feet. Let's talk about the plan for today's hike. So today we got about 5 miles in on our first day of a 4-day, 3-night backpacking trip here on the Appalachian Trail in Connecticut. So the total mileage of this trip is going to be somewhere around 26 miles when I'm done. Because of the coronavirus situation, I haven't really been able to get out and backpack as much as I would like to have this year. Did a lot of camping and day hiking. My wife and I got out for 40 nights in our RV, but I've only been out a couple times overnight. Once was this year, once was before the coronavirus, in the Pemigewasset Wilderness in winter, and then I had a Stratton Mountain trip back in September. So here we are in November, and I'm getting my 3rd overnight backpacking trip in for the year. That's why I'm going for 3 nights here. I'm also planning on doing a trip in December, probably between Christmas and New Year's, down in Shenandoah, where I'm planning to hike another section of the AT. Tonight's temperatures are expected to dip down to 33. I think a couple other nights it might go as low as 27 or so, but I think I'll be fine. I brought my 0-degree sleeping bag, which is comfortable down to single digits when I dress in layers. Looking ahead at some of those white markers working their way up the side of this hill. I don't think we're done climbing yet today. We're about 1.8 miles into the hike and we've reached the vista just south of Caleb's Peak here. We have a nice view, although it's getting dark, of the Housatonic Valley beyond. It's about a 90-degree view here. We can see some of the mountains that we will be hiking on the rest of this trip. See some of the local lights here. Can't tell, but we're on a cliff. About another 3/4 of a mile to get to the campsite. Just a recap of the day. Made it to camp around 7 o'clock. Set up a tent, cooked some dinner. I hiked about 2 miles in the dark, and about 2.5 and another half mile or so in the twilight. I'm the only one here at Algo Mountain Shelter. It's actually the first time I've night hiked, so it's kind of interesting, a little bit scary at times. To be honest, I heard more than once I heard large animals. At least once or twice I saw that they were deer, which was good. But you never know what's out there when you can't really see. Dinner tonight was chicken Alfredo from Backpacker's Pantry. It was good, tasty. I had some hot cocoa as well. Put everything in the bear box. I have tent site number 4 at Algo Mountain Shelter. Couldn't be happier. Right now it's starting to cool off a little bit, but I'm going to be fine. And I'm looking forward to a good night's rest, so I'll talk to you in the morning.
The red line on this map indicates our route. We parked at the trailhead on River Road and hiked south to Mt Algo campsite. On the way, we hiked along St. John's Ledge and over Caleb's Peak. From then on, I stopped recording to pick up the pace. Darkness set in by the time I reached Fuller Mountain, and I hiked the last 2.5 miles with my headlamp.
Good morning. Day 2. We're sitting here at Mt Algo campsite. Got a little cold last night. Not too cold, but definitely cold. I'm happy to have my 0-degree sleeping bag with me. Real quiet night. No disruptions. Don't think anybody came into camp either. It's just me here last night. Well, the only way to get warm is to get up and do chores. So that's what I'll be doing. Here we are checking out Mt Algo Shelter. It was built in 1986. And you can see, like any good shelter, it has a ton of pegs and nails where people can hang up their packs or clothing if they're trying to dry out. It has a map showing the area. Interesting here is that it has a cutout, and I believe that's so that you have standing room. If you look, it gets very narrow or very low in the back there, so you need a little bit of standing room. There's a broom back there, there's a rake on the side, and here is probably a log. So it looks like Phil R. stayed here the night before I did, and he said that he was a section hiker, solo stay at the shelter. Coyotes were howling last night, 37 degrees in the morning. Well, Phil, I agree with you. I definitely heard some howling last night, and but I think it was a little bit colder than 37. I was probably down around 32 degrees or a little bit colder last night. Mt Algo Shelter here, set up pretty well. Down there by the river, plenty flowing to get water, is a bear box, and that's where I kept my food last night. It's got 4 campsites. It's got a lean-to and a table here. Beyond my tent over there is a wash pit, so I'm in campsite 4. And if we walk out here, just a little distance here, we have campsite 2. I believe campsite 1 is probably way up there on the hill. Campsite 3, and beyond campsite 3 is the privy. Well, if you're looking to get away from the hubbub of a busy shelter. Campsite 1 is a short hike, but might be the levelest and the largest of the 4 campsites here. It looks like there's a couple of places you can set up your tent. You can see down there in the distance is the shelter. Go for plan. I will be coming back to Mt Algo Shelter on my way back on the second night. So today's hike will be to Dry River campsite, and then I'll come back here for my third and final night before returning to the car on the 4th day. Privy here is a moldering privy. So what that means is you should relieve your liquids elsewhere. You can only put down the solids here. You can put your toilet paper in the hole, and you have to put duff on top of a handful of duff on top of your business. If the duff bucket is empty, fill it up. And that's it. Pretty simple. Well, for breakfast we're having maple and brown sugar oatmeal, a little watery, probably added too much water, and coffee. As soon as I finish breakfast, I'm going to finish cleaning up. Pretty much packed up. Looks like we're going to be heading for some rain around 5 o'clock, so it's going to be important to get into camp early today, get set up before the rain, and hunker down. The rain should stop overnight, so that's going to be a big push today to hit some miles and get to camp early. All right, we're leaving Mt Algo Shelter and we're working our way south on the Appalachian Trail. We're experiencing light rain now, but the green tunnel's not green in the fall. As you can see, you get to view the mountains through the trees. Obviously it's not as warm as the summer, but there are some advantages to hiking in late November before it gets really cold and snowy. If I had to guess, we're gonna go down in this valley and then we're gonna go up the mountain in front of us, which might be Connecticut. I'm not sure yet. We'll take a look at it on the map. Morning, when I got up and saw that the rain was coming sooner than later, I had a fleeting moment there where I thought maybe I'd just hike back to the car and then I won't get wet. But the reality is that if you're going to be out here hiking, sooner or later you're going to hit some bad weather, and you need to learn how to deal with it. So we're going to carry on, head on out here. So that's our second rain shower. It stopped, but coming around 5 o'clock we're looking at 70–80% chance of rain. Starting to get a little bit rockier as we're leaving the Thayer River behind down the valley. Yesterday I got a couple of hot spots on my foot. I wouldn't say I have blisters yet, but I got to keep an eye on it. Turns out that my right socks are wearing through. So I switched to my night socks, which are smart wool, and they have extra padding, fortunately, in the spots that are a little bit hot. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully I don't get my first on-trail blisters this time around. We're roughly 1,300 feet in elevation here. We have a view of Skehatukuk Mountain straight ahead. You can see the Housatonic River there off in the distance. It's pretty wide here. I think there's a dam down there near Bull's Bridge. The trick to staying warm on a cool day like today is to know when to put your layers on and take them off. So was working my way uphill, I was warm, just on the edge of cold when I was in my green shirt, but now the wind is really picking up over here and it's a little chilly, so I put the raincoat, aka windbreaker, back on. A lot of cool rocks in this area. Just off the trail, a short distance here, is a nice viewpoint of the Housatonic River. All right, due to the timing of the day and the impending rain, I'm going to head on down to the Housatonic River on this side path, which isn't marked, so hopefully I don't get lost. To save some mileage and catch this part of the AT on the way back.
The red circle indicates the area where I took an alternate route down to the Housatonic River and along the base of Scohaticook Mountain. The dashed line in the circle is the AT. We will return that way the next day.
There's a blue blaze there. I don't know if it's very well maintained.
This trail, which is shown on the All Trails app, appears to be a former Blue Blaze trail. It is very steep, but wide enough to have been a four-wheel drive road at one time.
We're on the Appalachian Trail, just south of Bulls Bridge Road, heading to Tenmile River.
Just an FYI, the river and the mountain names combine 10 and mile into one word, but the campsite and shelter use two words in their naming.
We're at the Tenmile River campsite here. This is the main campsite. We've got a bear box. Looks like we have a couple places to set up tent. We have a privy. I believe the shelter is a little further along the trail.
I hiked just over 7 miles on day 2 and managed to get to camp and set up my tent before it rained. That's going to wrap it up for part 1. Please remember to like, share, comment, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss part 2 of this video when it's released. Thanks for watching.